Welcome to this masterclass on bonds. We are continuing to explore exam questions from the Financial Actuarial Mathematics syllabus. This may also be useful for any other students studying a financial course that are interested to understand the workings of bonds. Remember that a bond is simply a loan that is made by an institution, which is usually a government, but it can also be a large company. With a conventional loan, the loan amount is specified upfront, so you know what amount the bank, for example, is going to lend you, and the repayment amount is calculated by adding interest at the applicable rate. In this example, the borrower will receive the agreed amount of $1,000 at time 0. At time 2, he needs to repay this loan amount together with interest at 10% per year. So the repayment amount is calculated using the future value formula that you should be familiar with by now. 1,000 times 1 plus the interest rate. The interest rate is 10% in this particular example to the power 2 because the loan is for a period of 2 years. And this is equal to $1,210. Bonds work in reverse. Instead of specifying the loan amount, the bond specifies what the repayment amount will be. So continuing with this example, suppose that the bond specifies the repayment amount at time 2 as $1,210. The exact same number that we had at the end of term 2 for the conventional loan. Using an interest rate of 10%, we can calculate the present value of the repayment amount using your familiar formula 1,210 times 1 plus the interest rate, or 1.1 to the power negative 2. And this is equal to $1,000, the same amount as the loan amount that was specified under the conventional loan. So where a conventional loan agreement specifies the amount that will be paid over to the borrower at time 0, and then the repayment amount is calculated from this loan amount, bonds work in reverse and specify how much the investor will receive at the end of the bond term. The investor then has to calculate the amount that he or she is willing to pay for this particular cash flow. In days gone by, you would literally purchase a certificate from government as proof of your rights to receive this repayment. And for this reason, the present value is often called the price of the bond. Of course, nowadays, the certificate is digital and no longer a physical piece of paper, but the concept is exactly the same. There's a fair bit of jargon that you need to master when it comes to bonds. In addition to the repayment amount, a bond would often pay interest, also called coupons, on the repayment amount. Why coupons? Now, similar to coupons that you would cut out and redeem in a retailer, the bond certificate used to contain a coupon for every interest payment. At the date the coupon was due, the owner would detach the coupon and present it to government for payment. Now back to our example. Suppose that the bond we have in this example pays coupons at a rate of 5% per year. This means that the bond will pay coupons equal to the repayment amount times the coupon rate, or $1,210. Remember, that was the redemption amount that was specified by the bond, multiplied by the coupon rate of 5%, or $60.50. Since the coupon rate is 5% per year, the first payment will be made at time 1, and the second payment will be made at time 2. Note that the coupons are based on the repayment amount, which is the given value for the bond, and not the price of the bond, which is a derived or a calculated value. So at the end of year 2, the investor will receive the repayment amount of 1,210 as well as the $60.50 in interest. So the investor will receive a total payment of $1,270.50. Again, we can calculate the amount that the investor will be willing to pay for this revenue stream as the present value of the coupons plus the present value of the repayments. So we can write price as the following equation. The first coupon of $60.50 discounted for 1 year plus the total payment at the end of year 2 discounted for 2 years. Remember that the interest rate was 10% for this particular example, and so that is the rate that we use in our discount factors. This is equal to 55 plus 1,050, which is $1,105. A bond that only has a redemption value and doesn't have any coupons, like our first example, is a special type of bond called the zero coupon bond. When we calculate the present value of the cash flows for a bond, in other words, when we calculate the price of a bond, the rate of interest we use, in other words, the 10%, is known as the yield of the bond. This term comes from the agricultural world, meaning the harvest or the produce of the bond. To illustrate these concepts, we're going to look at this certificate, which is an actual bond that was issued by the US government in 1979. So the name face value literally refers to the amount that is displayed on the face or the front of the certificate, which is clearly $10,000 in this example. The coupons or the interest payments are actually expressed as a percentage of this face value. So in this example, interest is calculated as 10 and 1/8% of the face value, which is $10,000. Now, technically, the repayment value, which is also called the redemption value, can be different from the face value, although it will always be expressed as a percentage of the face value. But in most cases, the repayment value is just equal to the face value. In this particular example, the bond terms specify that the investor will receive $10,000 or the face value on the due date. More formally, when the repayment value is the same as the face value, we can say that this bond is redeemed at par. Hence the alternative name for face value, par value. Now, what makes bonds very different from a conventional loan is that you can sell your rights to receive these payments. So think of this as literally selling that certificate to someone else. When you sell the bond, the price you receive for the bond is dictated by what the market is willing to pay for this bond. In financial mathematics, we often contrast the market value, which is what something is truly worth if you were to sell that in the open market, against the theoretical value, which we often call the nominal value. So hence the name nominal value as an alternative name for the face value of a bond. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with you through the basics of bonds. I hope that helped you. Please feel free to leave any comments or suggestions, and please tell your friends to subscribe.